Hi, Charles, SirBookSage here. Let's talk Disa summoning bats here in Season 2 of The Rings of Power. This scene is a microcosm for so many of the things that frustrate me and other Tolkien fans about this TV show. When I was sitting there watching that scene, watching her do her thing to summon bats to scare the dwarves away, to stop them from digging, let's put aside that there's anything in those caverns other than that Balrog that would scare the dwarves away. Let's just put that aside, put it over there. Let's talk about Disa summoning the bats. As someone who's read Tolkien my entire life, I watched that scene and my reaction is, oh, Disa's evil. Wasn't expecting that. Duly noted. I shall await her eventual heel turn sometime in this TV series. Now, I'm guessing that's not the takeaway the show meant for me to have. But again, if you know Tolkien lore, bats are evil in Arda. Bats are evil in Tolkien's story world. They're associated with Morgoth, with Sauron, with forces of darkness. They fought in the Battle of the Five Armies in The Hobbit, and there were so many bats fighting on the side of the goblins and the wargs and stuff that they blotted out the sun and even the sky at portions of that battle. There was so many of them. Sauron himself, in the First Age, just turns into this giant bat to escape Luthien and her giant hound, Huan. Sauron also had this sort of messenger, and I'm probably going to butcher her name because I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, like Thuringwethil, something like that. And she was this like bat woman, who was sort of bat, half woman, part bat creature. And she would fly between like Angband, where Morgoth's fortress, and wherever Sauron happened to be set up shop. And in fact, I think Luthien like takes on the form of Thuringwethil to infiltrate Sauron's stronghold. There's a long tradition here in Tolkien's story world where bats are evil. They are kind of akin to vampires in a sense. They're sort of connected to each other, and hence Sauron turning into a vampire to escape in the First Age. So when I watched Disa summon bats to do her bidding, my takeaway is Disa's evil. That's what that means in Tolkien's story world. So, and this is what frustrates me about this show. We have moments like this where they're just complete disregard for Tolkien's lore is right on display. Impossible to ignore on display, in fact. Now, I don't know if they had Disa summon bats, but whether the writer just came up with it and thought it was hey, this sounds like a cool idea, and people in the writer's room agreed and said, yeah, that's cool, let's do that. That could be how this ended up in the show. It could be that they're aware that bats are meant to be evil, but they just don't care, which you see a lot of in this TV series. There's a lot of Tolkien lore that they just seem not the slightest bit interested in. Or there's the third possibility. These changes to the lore are intentional. This is meant to be a deliberate deconstruction of everything Tolkien wrote and to flip a lot of things on their head. But what am I supposed to do now with the character of Disa? Because summoning bats makes her evil. That's what it means. That's my takeaway. That's now my headcanon for this character. And I'm pretty sure that's not supposed to be what that scene means in this TV show. But this is the frustrating experience as someone who's been reading Tolkien my entire life since I was a little kid. I've lost count of how many times I had already reread The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings before the Silmarillion was even published. Frustrating is the most common feeling I come back to watching Rings of Power. Now, I have a playlist where I have a bunch of videos talking about Season 1 of Rings of Power. It's not an episode per episode like review video like I did for Season 2 of Wheel of Time. It's a series of videos where I go into detail about some of the things that first season was doing story-wise and character-wise, how it contrasts and compared to what Tolkien actually wrote. You can see a pretty frustrated me in some of those videos. In my Season 2 Rings of Power videos that are going to start rolling out soon, you're going to see a very frustrated me again. Now, I try to approach this TV show as a Tolkien fan, as someone who understands and knows Tolkien's lore and what things mean and what they meant in his stories, and watching how the show is either discarding or twisting or corrupting things. I try to approach it trying to find a way to talk about both what the show is doing and what Tolkien did and how these things differ from each other to varying degrees. Some are small differences, some are this isn't even the same story world differences. But this has been bugging me with Disa and the bats. Sometimes you get something like stuck in your head and you need to talk about it just to get it out of the way. So hence this short little video here where I just needed to get this out and get it on video and get it up on my channel. as I start rolling out videos again, and particularly Rings of Power videos. So, to recap, Disa summoning bats makes Disa evil in Tolkien's story world. I'm pretty sure that's not what the show meant it to be, but that's what it means. So, what am I supposed to do with her character now? You tell me. What did you think of her summoning bats? Do you think a couple of bats flying around would scare a bunch of dwarves who've been digging in Khazad-dûm their entire lives away? Check out my Rings of Power playlist down below. Wheel of Time Season 2 playlist down below as well if you're interested in. If you have 18, 20 hours to watch me talk about what they did to Book 2, The Great Hunt, in that second season. And I will see you in the comments, and I will see you in the next video soon.